we've seen the virtual birthday parties, people trying to connect, younger people trying to figure out how to, work at a distance even. Have you seen any of this come true in your life?
Well, yeah, I mean, everything happens. Even the news anchors, and every host of late night television. Everybody's having to do everything from home, virtually, through the internet, including my daughter, who's going to school online, and then also in the evenings she'll hang out with her friends in Roblox, and spend time in a virtual space there. Which reminds me, she wanted me to ask you if you could get her a unicorn.
I
You
think there's
do?
probably like hundreds of different types of unicorns, and now
Oh,
that
well.
we've opened up the UGC store on Roblox, there are probably people making unicorns, which
Oh, right on.
so absolutely, like,
All right.
high five to that. A lot of people now are talking about the metaverse, and we've also seen people starting to chat not just about how we work or how we learn, but how we consume entertainment, how we work together. Ultimately, I think the vision of Ready Player One and Ready Player Two, and thinking about this vision of the metaverse, is all these things we do in real life, we can start to imagine, doing in the metaverse. Have you seen any other pandemic related things going on related to that, or any other metaverse related advancements since you wrote Ready Player One?
Yeah, a bunch. So much of what I was just imagining in Ready Player One has since come about. Like the Oculus Quest, I got a Oculus Quest, my Oculus Quest here, that I use to hang out in big screen with my friends. There's a VR app called Big Screen where you can hang out in a virtual cinema, and with up to like 12 of your friends, and all watch a movie together. And afterwards, when you hung out in a virtual space, you really feel like you spent time together. It's really amazing.
Yeah, so we did, like the One World Together concert inside of Roblox, and there was this really interesting thing of walking around with friends, then looking up at the screen. I found myself going from the in 3D screen to full screen mode back and forth, and I really like looking over to my friend next to me and like watching it together. I caught a little of that energy, which I think is what we're all hopeful that the metaverse can kind of bring. So I'm looking behind you, at your vehicles.
I actually have two DeLoreans hidden back here. So this is my garage where I come for inspiration.
When I was just out of high school, I had a 1969 Pontiac Firebird, 400
Oh,
cubic inch V8, 4 speed. I know DeLorean is like super favorite for you. Do you use the DeLorean? Like, how often do you drive it?
I like to take this car out every night, between usually like 8 and 10 o'clock, and listen to '80s music, and just like recharge my creative batteries. And whenever I take it out, it always makes people happy. When they're seeing the car. Usually somebody's seeing the DeLorean for the first time, and they've never seen a time machine in person. So it's like a traveling happiness mobile.
One thing I'm curious about, those DeLoreans, are they stock, or have you had to like modify the engine or anything to keep them going?
Yeah, they're all like 35 years old. They made all the DeLoreans between 81 and 82, so they're all about 40, almost 40 years old now, and they do require a lot of work to keep them running. And then plus adding all they obviously don't come with all the flux capacitor and wormhole emitter and all the Back to the Future gear. That's all has to be kind of scavenged and cobbled together. So I've been making it more screen accurate over the years. There's always more tweaks I can do to make it cooler. So it's like a hobby, having a car like an old car like this, antique, is it's a fun hobby to have.
And I think, in a sense, I think those are stainless, aren't they? Like,
Oh
isn't
yeah,
the
they never rust. Yeah,
isn't that
they
like the
never.
Cybertruck 4 years earlier?
I know. Yeah, yeah. It's the Cybertruck definitely looks like it took some inspiration from the DeLorean. For a car that came out 40 years ago, it's still the most
Yeah.
futuristic looking car there is. It looks like a spaceship.
Hey, so I know, with Ready Player One and now with the release of Ready Player Two, your life's probably gone through a lot of change. Mine has too. There was this time before in the early days of Roblox, it was Eric and me, like 2 of us just working on this thing, and then Matt and John joined us, and that was very different for me. That was going in, writing code every day, quiet office. My life's completely different now, and now we have, hundreds and hundreds of great people that all work together. How about you? Like, has your life changed?
My life has changed drastically. Since when I was writing Ready Player One, I was working a tech support job. I was interested in technology, but I always wanted to be a writer. But I also was interested in computers, and working tech support was a way to kind of work in a facet of what I was interested in. But it was a grueling job where I was on the phone, for 10 hours a day and helping people with their computers. And it wasn't a job that I enjoyed, but because I worked that job, a lot of elements of what I was learning about technology and helping people use computers, and also the job of being a tech support rep, that all worked its way into my novel, into Ready Player One. The way the main character works tech support in the Oasis for a while, and so that was something from my life that ended up informing the story. So even though I didn't enjoy that job at the time, and wished I was working somewhere else, now I'm grateful that I had that job and that experience, because it worked its way into my story. It's like when I was a kid, we lived in a trailer park for a while, which was not fun. And my room was actually the tiny laundry room of the trailer, and it was just for a little while. But that was something that I put into Ready Player One. Wade
Yeah.
sleeping in the laundry room of his trailer, and
Yep.
the stacks, and all of that came from this experience in my real life, and then I saw it depicted in a Steven Spielberg movie. So that's something I always like to tell aspiring writers about. Is sometimes you're doing a job in your life, or you're living somewhere that you're not happy with, but later on that could help inspire you to write the story that could change your life. So you should kind of embrace those experiences, whatever is going on in your life, and try to put that into your work.
And I think there's a lot of optimism, in your books as well around the power of imagination. And in effect, the metaverse is built on imagination. So I always take that as a very
Yeah,
optimistic thing for all of us that are trying to create, whether it's music or 3D or imagery.
yeah.
Hey, and then riffing on Ready Player Two. So the number seven's kind of relevant, and of course we're not in spoiler zone here. But hey, is this random? Is there some significance to this?
Like the number three in Ready Player One. Three is a magic number. Number seven is a number that comes up a lot in pop culture and in video games. And kind of collecting seven pieces of something is something that would come up in Dungeons and Dragons modules, and also in like Sonic the Hedgehog had seven Chaos Emeralds that were red, yellow, blue, cyan, white, purple, and green. And once you collected all of them, that's what you had to do to, I think, defeat Dr. Eggman and win the challenge. But there are a lot of quests that involve the number seven, and some songs that involve the number seven. And so I saw that was a way to weave all those things into the story and have a kind of a connecting element between them. So it'll make sense what I'm talking about uh, uh, once people out there read the book. But yeah, no, the number seven was a big influence.
So hey, with Ready Player One, I think a lot of people who'd never worn a VR headset got exposure to the tech and to your vision through the book and through the movie. And part of the fun, I think, I imagine, of being a sci-fi writer is you're also a futurist in a way. I mean, that's part of the gig of being a sci-fi writer, which sounds really fun. And I think, in Ready Player Two, I think you go even a little further, and there's some really exciting kind of, vision going beyond that. When we at Roblox, we kind of done the same thing. We've had vision for 15 years, and it takes a lot of time for some of these things to become reality. But when they do, it's super satisfying. And I'm wondering for you, how's it feel when you see some things in real life come true, after you've written about them?
Well, it's gratifying, but I don't automatically assume that it was my book that helped inspire it, unless sometimes, like with the Oculus Rift, the people who worked on that told me in person that some things from Ready Player One had inspired them. Um, but it's so much easier when you're a writer to just write. Wouldn't it be cool? Than it is to actually make it. It's like easy for me to design an amazing video game in a story.
Yeah.
Yeah, but as you know, it's much harder to actually make the real thing.
I
So
I think
yeah,
that could be a good thing though, right? Because us technologists, we can get locked in by how difficult it is to build stuff, where writers and futurists, you have the freedom of the written word, right? There's no limit to what you
right.
can imagine. And then the technologists more have to like figure out, can we really build it?
Right. And they're the only ones that can really build it. If it was just left up to the writers, all this stuff would remain fantasy. But that's something that I remember hearing about Star Trek, the old Star Trek series. They had those doors that would open automatically. And that's what inspired those doors in grocery stores. Like people at home saw that, and then real engineers went and made it work. So science fiction has always kind of played that role of, what extrapolating where our technology might go. But yeah, that's one of the funnest parts of being a science fiction writer is imagining where the technology will lead us, and then how the technology